Long way down. When we saw on the map that there was a pool there, it was just that small puddle of water. The pool, as they call it, was much farther down. Shotgun shells, a blue phone that's off the hook, a set of photos. Natalie Crow, Edward Crow's daughter. Tolman, the engineer Crow put in charge of root excavation. The next one is a photo of me. When did he take this? Julie Barron, the lawyer hired by Elaine Marshall's family. Arthur Mole, a teenager who wanted to photograph the guests. Marvin Trumbull, he was responsible for Crow's fake gold mine. Douglas Pike, he was in charge of building the actual theme park. And finally, Harrison James. He was the police officer sent to look for Edward Crow. I think the three on the bottom are all dead. Piece of paper. Can't make sense of it. Handgun ammo. Handgun ammo. Collection of video game tips. Set of vials. 5 glass vials, each with the same pale green liquid inside. I don't know what they're for. I'll leave them alone. It's a curtain. It's a hazmat suit. A sealed envelope. For Natalie. I won't open it. It's a microwave. What's that? A medkit. Can't carry anymore. I'm fine. It's a hazmat suit. It's covered in a fine layer of dust. I guess he's not wearing it anymore. It's a bed. This must be where Crow has been sleeping. The sheets are stained with blood. A Bunsen burner. I remember using these at school. It's a bright blue flame. The fire is crackling softly. Intercom, that seems important. I'll get back to it. Large medkit. And I believe that's where I came in. Oh, and a shower. It washed the dye out of our hair. I mean, I wouldn't have assumed we were naturally purple-haired. Okay, so fine, we don't need to use it. Mr. Crow, I'm here. I'm in your lab. Hello, Elaine. Open the door. I will. But first, please pick up the glass vials I've laid out on the counter. Why? Please. Fine. Elaine. Elaine Marshall. There's a lot that's happened so far that can be recontextualized with this knowledge, though I also feel like the game was almost a little heavy-handed in its hints. There wasn't just, say, one little hint here and there, and I'm sure it still would have gone over a number of people's heads, but I did feel a little bit like they were too obvious about it. Police ID card that she took from Harrison James. When she said, remember in the very intro, she said, like, the actual intro, she monologued for a moment, that she said, if anybody asks, I'm Mara Forrest, weapons expert. That's my name. Don't forget it. The way that's read sounds very much like she's talking to somebody else, like the player, saying, that's my name, don't you forget it. She was talking to herself. She was speaking out loud to herself, reminding her, if anybody asks, this is my name, don't forget that this is my name. Little things like, she's supposed to be a weapons expert. But when, not Tolman, the sleazy guy, he pointed out what gun we had and said, commented on it, saying like, oh, is that this model? That looks nice. And Mara just went, yeah. Clearly she did not know. She would know if she was a weapons expert. Crank handle I found in a safe. The ruby gemstone that was hidden in a painting of a demon. The chain I took from the neck of a mechanical swan. The mask I excavated from a block of resin. The trident I took out of a witch's cauldron. The silver key that was hidden in Neptune's palace. The data disk I got from the change machine in an arcade. The acid bottle I took from a cell in a dungeon. The golden key I found trapped inside a fairy's head. This is the one that we could have used the acid bottle on instead of the flamethrower, which I did use. Save a little flamethrower ammo, which I've still never used for actual combat. The battery I pulled from the stomach of a robotic mermaid. Good times. Yeah, and they're not even in our inventory anymore. And now it shows my condition as infected. Another thing is, we've been getting hit by enemies all game. And we panic when anybody else gets hit. Here, take this antidote, go rest. But we get hit and we're just, medkit, shake it off. And that's because we've already been infected. Since before we even walked into this park. We were probably the first one infected. Mr. Crow, I have the vials. Open the door. Stand back. Edward Crow, you have certainly seen better days. Elaine Marshall. Edward Crow, How long has it been? 2 years? We've never met before. No, I mean since you became infected. 2 years? 2 years since I shut the park? I'm glad you came back. Why would you care? I would offer you a drink, but... What are you now? 18? Not quite. And yet, you made it all the way down here. You are clearly very stubborn. That's good. It gives me hope. Hope? Tell me, how are you feeling? Bad. Tired. They can't get rid of my infection. It's been getting worse. Of course. I must say, I'm relieved they let you out of the hospital long enough to... They didn't. I escaped. I see. You really are determined. And all this, because you want to kill me, I assume? No. I came because I want to tell you something. Face to face. I need you to know. Go on. Mr. Crow, I'm going to die from this infection. We tried everything. Nothing works. It's going to kill me. But I didn't realize. You have it too. The same infection. Of course. Anyone who has been exposed to the guests will have it. Naturally, I was the first. When the first guest emerged from the pool, I tried to help him. I put him in a holding cell, up on the ground level, so we could monitor him more easily. The holding cell? That's where I was attacked. Yes, bringing the guests up to the surface proved to be a mistake. But you look worse than I do. I am simply further along. My continued exposure to the guests has accelerated the process. Continued exposure? Your bloody escapade today, it may prove to have a similar effect for you. It looks bad. What's it like when it gets that bad? I shall not lie to you. Elaine, do you remember when your family asked me to pay your medical fees? Yeah. They're holding you accountable since I was injured in your park. But you never paid them. My lawyer is trying to take you to court over it. Yes. This was a deliberate decision on my part. Knowing the nature of your illness, I knew there could be no cure found at the hospital. Wait. But there is a cure. I made one. You... How? I had to reverse engineer it. I've been studying the highly infectious bacteria on the dead bodies of the guests. New kinds of bacteria that nobody knows about yet. That's been the problem. It's no surprise your doctors were stumped. Those vials. From your lab? Yes. You have the cure on your person at this very moment. 5 vials. Enough to cure 5 people. 5? Harrison and Marvin are dead. So that leaves you, me, Natalie, Tolman, Julie, and Arthur. That's 6 people. You didn't make enough vials. You're wrong there. I shall not be taking the cure. You understand where we are right now. You call it the pool? Correct. And protruding from its depths, the 7 roots. What's left of them, after years of you cutting them up, harvesting them for gold. Exactly right. Elaine, look at me. Listen. The pool is a gateway. And the guests are human beings who attempted to travel through it and emerged here. Why do they look so... Why are they so messed up? Because I have spent the last 10 years dismantling the mechanism of that gateway. I don't understand. The pool still works. Technically. But thanks to me, it is severely malfunctioning. You see, the roots are a kind of calibration antenna, necessary to accurately and safely transport those who travel through the pool. Mr. Crow, where are they coming from? The guests. What's on the other side of the pool? You understand now how my excavations have been causing the mutations of the guests. Also understand the mutations have been getting worse as I cut down more of the roots. The beings that emerge from the pool now, they barely resemble humans at all. Most of them cannot walk, let alone speak. But that first guest who emerged from the pool, all that time ago, he was the least mutated. No. Yes, Elaine. He could speak. Just barely. He told me who he was, and why he had come. I wrote it down, word for word, on a little piece of paper. And then I went back to harvesting the roots. No subsequent guests were capable of speech. You may now understand why I'm choosing not to take the cure. My time is short. Before I die, I must look upon what I have wrought. You're going through the pool. Hold out your hand. What? Take it. It's a little piece of paper. Now that it is in your hands, I am going through the pool. You'll be mutated. It'll kill you. A fitting end. Perhaps, if I am lucky, I may get a glimpse of what lies on the other side. I have one more thing to ask of you, Elaine. If, for any reason, I re-emerge from the pool, I want you to kill me. But if I re-emerge, I will be in no shape to continue living. Do you understand? Goodbye, Elaine. I raise a glass to your future. Yup. Nope, miss. Wrong button. Wrong button again. How am I feeling? Wrong button. Elaine. It's... Shut up. I don't want to know. You promise. Kill. Guess not. It's over. There's only one thing left to do. Mostly save those magnum rounds for the final fight. Didn't help I missed half of them. Staring into the flames, I feel something. It's a curious mixture of hope and dread. Maybe everything will be okay. And maybe it won't. I was expecting maybe in the ending for them to tell what was on that letter, but in retrospect maybe I had to read it during the fight. Or after he gave it to me, open the menu and look at it. But the note effectively said that there was something horrible in the future. A disease, an infection that was affecting everyone. There was no longer any hope. So the best that they could do was find a way to go back in time before it happened and tell them to prevent it from happening. This infection, I am willing to believe, was what Edward Crowe developed a vaccine for. By examining all of the bacteria on the guests that had never existed before, that scientists had never seen before. So he examined those bacteria and developed a vaccine. Only the 5, though. So now there are no longer a vaccine, or there is no longer a vaccine, and that event is still set to happen in the future. So, knowing that a vaccine can be made is a bit hopeful. But they didn't manage it the first time. So perhaps not. The number that you saw written in several places around, usually in blood, was written on the floor in the main drag. It was written on the wall in one of the back rooms. That number is the year of the infection. It has nothing to do with any puzzles. That is the message that all of these guests are trying to convey. They're trying to warn us. Even as Julie found out, they roughed her up, but they weren't trying to kill her. They were panicked. They were afraid. They were maybe angry, but not at us. and they were trying to give us a message. So of course then you think, well, why are they attacking us as we're going through the park? And as I said, they're scared, they're angry, they're afraid. And to be honest, they have very little precise control over their bodies. But that is Crow Country. So final rank is A, which is actually pretty good. There is one rank above this, which is an S rank. And the conditions for an S rank are to A, play without using any lives, which you can do simply by disabling lives. And again, the only one I used when I encountered an instant death trap. That I didn't know any better. You also have to find all of the secrets, of which I missed 2. And I don't know where those 2 are. I'm a bit surprised I missed 2. Unless the one in the Neptune's bar, or whatever it was called, Neptune's Palace. Unless that... It was like the slushy machine, or whatever. Unless that's one of them, that could be 1. But that one only put me to 14. So there's still one secret that I was missing, and I don't know where it was. I thought I got them all. And then you have to use fewer than, I think, 8 heals? Which, of course, I went over that by just a smidge. I feel like as long as you're careful, save often, it's not hard to hit that S rank, but you do have to play with intention. I, of course, am not worrying about that. We've seen what I wanted to see. And then for beating the game B rank, you get the Crow Bar. For A rank, you get the Crow Nade Launcher. And for S rank, you unlock, I think it's like a laser gun or something. That it's effectively your handgun, but it has infinite ammo. The Crowbar and the Crow Nade Launcher, though. And then when you play again on New Game Plus, effectively, you start Crow Quest, in which there are crystal crows spread all over the park, and it is your job to destroy all of them. This does require additional bullets for all of them. And there's a lot of them. So you're going to be a bit tighter on ammo, especially your regular handgun for most of that. And that is Crow Country. I think Crow Nade Launcher is pretty obvious what it is. The Crowbar is probably just a melee weapon. I don't know if there's an easy way to... Well, I can turn them off there, but... Oh, geez, look at that guy. Oh, it's a free melee weapon that you can use while you have other weapons up. Wrong button again. So, oh no, he's getting close. Whack him. And then this thing. Do I not have ammo for it? How does this work? Oh. Oh, that's cool. Does it go farther? It does go a little bit farther. That has infinite ammo, too. Well, that's fun. So anyway, though, that... brings Crow Country to a close. This has been an amazing game. I know I think the aesthetics of it are amazing. I think the characters are all amazing. I love every one of them. I know I've already praised the aesthetic, but going for that, like, old polygonal basic shape 3D is such a cool look, and they still got so much personality out of it, when even though you think, oh, you're making everything out of primitives. But no, everything looked exactly what it needed to look like. You could tell what everything was. It still looked good. I think the old retro staticky kind of feel actually very much fits with this game. That's something that I'm generally not fond of and will turn off as soon as given the option. But again, it feels like it fits with this. Because it feels like it's intentionally trying to be almost hard to tell what it is, while also looking back at a prior time, but not necessarily in a nostalgic light. There has been, I think one of the larger complaints about the game was that it was either too easy, or that the puzzles were too easy to figure out. Like, either the combat was too easy or the puzzles were too easy to figure out. And personally, I enjoy both of those. I enjoy that it is exactly how it is. And there are harder difficulties if you want. Granted, I don't think there was a harder difficulty at launch. But the harder difficulties, or the difficulty of combat, I think is fine, because it treats combat less like combat, less like a skill challenge, and it's more of a resource management puzzle that you have completed before the combat. So the whole game, you are playing your resource management puzzle, your investigation puzzle. And when combat shows up, this now is your test of how well you have done that up until now. And if you have done poorly, then you're not going to have the resources to handle combat easily, or in some cases at all. But even easily, that will mean that you will get hit, you will take damage. And if you get stuck in a bad position, you can die very quickly in this game. And I like that. I like that the combat isn't a skill challenge. I don't have to, like, oh, I gotta duck and weave and I gotta get my adrenaline up. Like, no, you see combat and you immediately weigh your options. What can I do? What can I do to save ammo for a later challenge where I may need it more? Can I avoid this combat? Can I kill them in a different way? Of the tools that I have, what is going to be the most resource lenient way to take care of them? I like that. I also like that the puzzles weren't necessarily too hard. It was more a matter of you exploring and poking your head around. You could just discover the answer, and then you have it. I don't necessarily want to have to sit down and think and, like, scroll out on my bulletin board connecting my red dots going, all right, and this is that, and this can handle that, and this can handle that. And I feel like in something more akin to a proper puzzle game, I would be more inclined for that. But I do feel like this game is more focused on exploration. Looking at the area, looking at where you are and what's around you, investigating what's going on. And if you can investigate appropriately, you get your answer. I'm also appreciate that the answers are usually not too far from the puzzle themselves. I think that's twofold. A, it's because I'm dumb, and I appreciate games for dumb people. but also it narrows the focus of what a solution is for. When you find a 4-digit code, and you know this could go to literally anything, now you're stuck thinking about how many places are there to punch in a 4-digit code over the course of this entire map. Where all have I run into? Whereas instead, you can sit down and go, okay, I got a 4-digit code. You know, it probably goes to that keypad that's like in this room or in the room I just came from. I'll go try that. And that just feels like you're saving me time instead of having to run around and check literally every one of these. If I have any concerns, any complaints, my only real complaint is that I do feel like they were a little heavy-handed with the hints that Mara was Elaine. I think between people questioning who you are and what's going on, and Mara never really giving that appropriate answer that, like, she should give if she was in her role. Instead, more of a stunned, shocked, almost, oh no, how do I handle this situation kind of a response. Hints like, hey, what kind of gun is that? Oh, I don't know. You're a weapons specialist. You should know. Things like when you found that picture of Elaine. It was Mara. She had longer hair, and her hair wasn't purple, but otherwise it was Mara. And somebody pointed out, Tolman, very early pointed out, is your hair dyed? So now you're thinking, okay, well, what color is her hair when it's not dyed? Or her hair isn't naturally purple. Like, there were so many little hints throughout the way. I think some people have said it's a more blatant one, but I feel like with all the other hints, it didn't even feel that much more blatant. But it's when you're in the gift shop and you're looking through the nameplates. She skims through the E's and lists names that would be on either side of Elaine, and then says, none figures. Like, I just feel like I would like the subtle hints that maybe on a second playthrough you can go, oh. But especially on a first playthrough, I would not want the player to figure it out until you get down to the lab. And Elaine washes her hair, taking out the purple. That would be, if not the realization point, that would be the, oh, something's up point. And then you hit the buzzer, and Crow refers to you as Elaine, and then all the pieces come together. But that's that, and that is what I can give as final thoughts on Crow Country. This is still an absolutely amazing game. I absolutely look forward to what else SFB Games makes in the future. I very much enjoyed not only this, but also several of the games they've made before. As I mentioned before, we played Tangle Tower here on the channel. I streamed it. I wonder if that stream was on YouTube or Twitch. If it was on Twitch, it's gone. I wish it was. I hope it's on YouTube. But anyway, this has been Crow Country. Until next time, everyone.